Ooh, yeah, street lights. Yeah, that's a tough one. Yep. Ooh, views, issues with views. Eesh, yeah, I've been there too. Can't see your handles? Yeah, that can be a problem. You just lost all your files. Yikes, let's go to the next one. Excuse me, I'm just getting through my daily views of questions in the official xLights support group. And wow, have there been a lot lately. I don't know if this is an uptick in people coming into the hobby this year or just so many changes from xLights, people can't keep up. Well, maybe I can help. Let's talk about the top 10 mistakes people make in xLights. There are many more, but I want to focus on the top 10 that I've been seeing in the last several weeks. And here we go. Hey everybody, it's your old pal Ron Howard from xTreme Sequences bringing you another Monday Minutes. Today we're going to get into the top 10 mistakes people make in xLights. And I think some of you will kind of relate to this, especially if you've been working with xLights for a while. And for those of you that are new, welcome and buckle in. I hope that this helps you along your journey. Before we get started, smash that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I really enjoyed all those that subscribed from the last video. That is so cool. I really appreciate all of you taking the time to do that little thing for me. Alrighty, let's get going. Here we go. Number one, and I have a list. Boom, right there. Not backing up. Recently, somebody had posted that they lost a lot of work and they didn't have a backup. So number one problem I see in xLights is not backing up. Let's look at this. In xLights, if we go to our preferences, this is something that everybody should be doing. This is so important. There are several choices, and recently, as recently as yesterday, I actually lost some work. I should not have lost work because xLights backs up every 3 minutes. However, yesterday it was not backing up every 3 minutes. So what I did was click back up on save, and I just started hitting save after I did a little bit of work, and it would save it. Now this will all be fixed. Dan's already all over this, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. The main thing is to make sure that you are backing up on launch. That is a default. Backing up subfolders. That should be a default. Purging backups. Depending on your level of gambling, you can choose all the way up to 360 days. Now, I think that's a bit excessive. I use 7 days, and I'm fine with that. Okay, because I don't want to fill up my directories. I'm also making sure that I back up to my show folder. I want to keep everything in the show folder. And then one more thing to consider is an alternative backup directory. I have some pretty fast SSD drives, and I have this set up going to my Overlord SSD drive that has 4 terabytes of storage. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to lose too much with this methodology. So that is it. Get your backup game in order. There's no reason for you to be losing files. One other thing I will mention, one other thing to consider is an offline storage. I use Backblaze and it has been amazing. So Google Backblaze or go to backblaze.com and check them out. It's very reasonable. Number 2, not customizing preferences. Well, luckily we have preferences open for us right now. I've been reading recently, people were not able to see the handles when they were working with models, and people couldn't see the colors in edit display elements or in when they were mapping because it was some horrible blue color. And if some of you, like me, have issues with colors, there are some things we can do about that, but we're going to go down the list here real quick. First of all, view. This is the tool icon size. You can change your tool icon sizes based on your monitor. If you don't have a 4K monitor, you may need to change the size of this. If you're working with multiple monitors, you may need to change the size of this depending on where you're putting these items. Model handle size. This is the big one. If you put this on extra large, it's going to make those model handles extra large. I'll scoot this over and I will try to click on this. See this right here? See that handle size? These guys right here, that's a handle. If I change that back to something else, like normal, you'll see how small that got. Now on a 4K monitor or 5K, that would get really, really small. So I'm going to put mine back to extra large where I can see it. And there we go. Okay. The next one, effects grid. The same thing here. If you want the spacing to be bigger, then you would change this to extra large. Now I'm going to put this back on extra small and show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to go over to my sequencer and then I'll bring this back over. So that is set to extra small. If I set this to extra large, then whoa, Betsy, that's a little bit extreme. Well, it's in the name, isn't it? There we go. So I'll put this maybe back to medium. So just set this according to what your resolution is on your monitor that makes the best viewing experience for you. All right, the next one, sequences. Again, preferences. I've done tutorials on what all of this means, so I'm not going to spend any time here. The next thing I'm going to get to, check sequences, random effects, which is useless, and then colors. This is an area that really started becoming a problem in recent releases. There were some changes made to the colors, and sometimes it's very difficult to see. So you can change each of these colors, which will change the colors that we see over in here. Or if you go to your edit display elements, it could change these colors. So I changed them according to how I like to see colors, and boom, it was done. The last one here, I'm not going to get into this because again, I've done tutorials on whether you should use hardware video decoding, GPU rendering, which is on a Mac, the video codec and all that. The thing is, make sure you don't just open up xLights and start working. You need to fine tune it for your viewing and also for the productivity of xLights, including that backup, which was number 1. All right, let's get to number 3. Not centering your all pixels group or whole house group. This is kind of a big one. If you purchase other people's sequences and that pinwheel is supposed to be in the center of the house, but yours is over here, well, maybe your house is not centered. That doesn't mean call your contractor. That means you need to fix this in xLights. And you do this by going to the layout and you find your group in question, and you're going to see that you're going to have a crosshair, except you don't see it. And you're like, well, where's my crosshair? Well, it doesn't work in 3D, and I'm in 3D. You know how I know that? Because if you look down here, it's checked. If I deselect my 3D, now I can move my house around, zoom in, scroll in, move it all around, give it a little earthquake. We have one of those recently here in California. And now you can see how the crosshairs here. If yours is not centered where you want it, then you simply go over to your center offset, and you can use the up-down arrow to make it move up and down, left and right. The X happens to be left and right, and the Y-axis is up and down. Simple. Gotta love that. Get your house centered. All right. Number 4, mistakenly assigning your models and or groups to the wrong preview. Well, what's a preview, Ron? I'm so glad you asked. Well, up here is a preview, not to be confused with views. Not to be confused with views. You see, this is a preview. So if I were to click here and tell this unassigned, you will see that I have some shadow models that are unassigned because I don't want to see them. in my layout. I don't want to see them play back at all. They're there for a purpose, but I don't need to see them. They're unassigned. I might have all models, which is going to show me the unassigned and all models. And you might have even created a view, maybe called backyard, because you're going to stay in the 2D world. And that would be a view. It is very easy to come over and find some group like the all pixels yard, and perhaps you accidentally set this to unassigned. And that preview's gone. And you're still going to see this over here. You will still see the group that'll be available. But what you're not going to see is in the layout. You will no longer see it when you're in default. You'll have to go to all models to be able to see it. See how that popped in? Let me turn it back off. Look to your left. Default. It's going to disappear. Boom. All models comes back. And now that I have it, now I can go correct my mistake. I can come back over here and look for this and go, oh, that preview is unassigned. That needs to be default. And click save. Now I go back to my default and it will remain there. All right, that's it. It's a simple thing, but it's easy to do. I've done it. I've done it over the years and just pulled my hair out going, where in the world is my group? All right. Number 5, this is a big one. Number 5, a big mistake people, in my opinion, are making is not using auto layout and auto size. You shouldn't use one without the other. I don't even know why that's just not put together. If I choose auto layouts, choose auto size. I know some of you that have been doing this for a long time swear by Excel spreadsheets and swear by managing your own channels. Do you also do all of your own calculus, or do you have a calculator to help you? I bet you have a calculator. I bet you use Excel. I bet you don't write out the numbers on a piece of paper in grids. No, that's because sometimes technology can be a bit faster than us. And I'm not saying that's okay, but what I'm saying is xLights will always do better math than we can when it comes to channel assignments. It just is, it just is, it just is. It's science. So my suggestion is to use auto layout and auto size, because it will ensure that you do not have channel overlap if you trust xLights to manage it for you. All right, moving on. Not turning on xLights only if you're working with cult controllers. If you're going to be using good old DDP, which I love on my cult controllers, and love using multi-sync, which is just truly amazing in the cult world. One of the things I see as a huge problem is when people start pushing their configurations to their controllers, and Falcon Pi player starts barking at you with big old red signs going, "You're sending crap to yourself. You're sending crap to yourself." What do you mean? I'm not trying to send nothing to myself. I'm trying to get my show going. And you realize that basically you're feeding yourself to yourself. It's like the fish eating the fish. Yeah. Well, anyway, I digress. And the reason for that is that you might have left your xLights, your activity, the active portion of this, to active instead of xLights only. And so we recommend using xLights only. Now, juxtapose that, if you're running something that's E131 like a Falcon controller, you definitely want to make sure that that is active, active, active. Yeah, that's sort of important in that Falcon Pi player world. All right, yeah, big words, Ron. Really impressive today. Okay, let's get going. Let's start with number 7. This is one of my favorites. Number 7, not using check sequence when problems arise. Folks, this is really simple. Tools, check sequence, and you will get a report. And this will tell you what is going on in your world, where you may have problems, warnings and errors. Before we reach out to support in any of the groups, any of the forums, 50-50, poll the audience, phone a friend. Before you do any of that, you should be looking at this report to see if there's anything obvious that is sticking out that you can easily address. Okay, that was a simple one. Number 8, when you have a sequence that you're working on and you have images, videos, shaders, music that you're pulling in from different places, because many of you may not know this, but I can simply drag and drop an image or a video onto the timeline here on any model and it pulls it over. But it's always pointing at where it came from. So always be in the habit of clicking on Tools, Cleanup File Locations. This will bring over your audio, your images, your videos and shaders, and it'll put it in a nice little folder inside your show directory. It will create a folder called audio if it doesn't exist. It'll create a folder called shadows, images, videos. It nests them very nicely based on the song, and then we'll put them in that nice order for you to ensure that they stay with you. If you don't do this and you happen to move your show somewhere and you open up your sequence the following year, it's going to go, hey, where's that cute picture of the reindeer? Well, that's probably on your old computer. So clean up file locations, just use it. It takes literally a half a second to run and you don't even see it. You don't notice it. It just does it. It just copies into your show directory. There we go. Number 8, number 9. Not having views in display elements. If you buy other people's sequences, this is important to you, and I've done a lot of tutorials on this, you want to make sure that you have multiple views. My master view is what xLights recognizes. My main sequence view is what I use for my stuff. But if you're using sequences from other people, I would have those sequencers in here with views with their groups. And by the way, most of the development team feel that using groups is the way to go. So it gets the seal of approval. Alrighty, here we go. Number 10. Oh, have we made it this far? It's so exciting. Giggity, giggity, giggity. Not staying current with updates. Folks. Okay, look, this is a bit controversial, and I get it. I get it. But I think it's important to stay up to date with this ever-changing software that is free to us. The developers put a lot of work into this, and we need to be able to give them feedback, both on the Mac and Windows side. And I can only count 2 times in going on 9 years where it bit me in the butt for upgrading. 2 times. I was warned about one of them, and the other one, well, you know, it happens sometimes. But I think we're at the point now to where everything is addressed in a much more timely manner. For instance, my xLights not auto backing up every 3 minutes yesterday. You know, I reached out to Dan. I'm like, WTH. I just lost some time, lost some work. And he gave me a fix for it and that he was working on it. So as things change in xLights, there are going to be bumps. But I always say, is the juice worth the squeeze? And I would say probably 99% of the time, it absolutely is for you, for me, for all of us to update, because you're going to get a lot of the enhancements and efficiency improvements that xLights offers if you do. If you don't, and you buy someone's sequence and they're using features that aren't available in previous versions, you might complain that, well, it doesn't look right on mine. Well, no, you didn't update. There you go. And I've got one more for you. I've got a bonus. This is one that, you know, sometimes I have to remind myself of, and I sometimes I fail at this, not often, but and I see other people. I see a lot of people for various reasons that need to leave the hobby. These could be financial reasons. These could be health reasons. There's still a lot of people coming into the hobby. But the big bonus here enjoy the process. Enjoy the process of learning. Enjoy the process of making mistakes, failing, the frustration that leads to smiles when you do get it figured out. There's a lot of people in our communities that are willing to help, that'll be there for you. And I hope that these top 10 and the bonus give you a little insight and some support. And just know, we all make mistakes. We all have problems when using the software, but by the time we get to Halloween and Christmas, we get to see those smiles. And that's why we do it, isn't it? I'm Ron. That's all I got for you. It's been Monday Minutes. We'll catch you next week. See ya.